Okay, here we go. Video number 2. Okay, I'm hoping this orientation works because I'm using a MagSafe little tripody thing, and if I turn it sideways, my phone tilts because the little ring on my case is not centered. Woohoo! Okay. So, for Holy Week, just as Holy Week got started, I ordered this awesome book, Greater Love Hath No Man. And it will say something to you about how slow I am to get on things or unfocused or whatever, that I'm only barely into chapter 1. Mostly because it is one thing I try to read at night because I'm not reading on a device. And so before bed, I'm trying to not be on my devices. But I'm so tired that as soon as I start trying to read something, I fall asleep. So I feel like I should start every one of these videos with a caveat. I'm not a scholar. Never gone to school for Bible studies or whatever. I have taught a lot of scripture classes. I have studied the scriptures for many, many years. I've listened to a lot of scholars, and when I have questions, I have tools that I use. I love Bible Hub, for instance. I love Scripture Citation Index. There's a couple more that I can't even think of off the top of my head. But I will look stuff up if I have questions. And so I do read from some scholars from many different religious beliefs. I'm not speaking for or on behalf of anybody but myself. I don't represent my church. I don't represent anybody else. I don't represent anything but my thoughts. These are just my thoughts. This is the gospel according to Tracy. And I am not organized. If you're looking for a sequential thing or where we are and come follow me or whatever, don't come here. This is just whatever I'm reading. I read a variety of things. I jump around as to whatever is catching my attention at the moment. So, I was reading in this book, The Greater Love Hath No Man, and they quoted a whole bunch of chapters of Mark, or sections of chapters of Mark, in chapter 1. And this verse jumped out at me. It's Mark 8:33. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but, well, I guess I could, but yeah. I'll get to the part that I really loved in a second. But first, I just want to tell my thoughts about this whole Jesus calling Peter Satan thing. Because I think the first time someone hears that, they're like, wait, what? Jesus called Peter Satan? How? Why? What? So this is my thoughts. And I have listened to quite a few scholars talk about this. I've looked it up and read other scholars, and there is a spectrum of thoughts about this. My personal view after reading and studying this is that Jesus wasn't calling Peter Satan, capital S, but he was referring to Peter as Satan. Let me read this. That the underlying word, and I'm not a Hebrew or Greek scholar either, so I'm just taking their word for it. It means adversary, opponent, or one who opposes. This is my scrawling handwriting I'm trying to read. Another in purpose or act. And that is what Peter was doing. He was opposing what Jesus said about, as he was talking about his upcoming death. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. It's the next line, though, that really caught my eye. It says, "For thou savorest not the things that be of God." And I love this line, even though it's said in a negative. He's saying to Peter, you aren't savoring the things of God. You aren't understanding. You're not thinking about it. You're not digesting it. Whatever. I love that word savorous. I did look this up in Bible Hub, and I think the King James is kind of the only version that uses that word. So I'm kind of glad that they quoted the King James because I love it. But I think this is even though this is the reason I love this line, even though it's stated as a negative, is that it's a reminder that we should actively savor the things of God. You know, a casual little dipping of the finger in the glass or whatever, that's not savoring. So to me, this implies choice and action, that we have to choose each day to savor, to come to the things of God, to read them, to think about them, to pray about them, to practice them in our lives. And that's a choice. I say this so much. It's not that feelings have no validity, but they aren't the be all and end all. We don't have to just feel this overwhelming desire, right? We can make a choice. We can actually take action without just feeling something. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Tell me if that makes sense to you, okay? So in our own lives, and I'll just say it the way I wrote it down here. I have found just in the couple days that I decided to do this, it is way easier for me to think thoughts in my head and to jot down a few notes than to come up with a comprehensive way of saying this that is, organized and makes sense. Okay, so lest we judge Peter too harshly, how often do we not understand the purposes of God or see his hand in our daily walk? So Peter did not understand. Obviously, I think Peter was not alone in his not understanding. And perhaps he was also looking for the Messiah he wanted and expected. So we know the Jews were waiting for a Messiah that would come be the political hero, right? He would free the Jews from their slavery to the Romans. And this is not who he was. That was not his mission at that time. He had this greater mission, which was saving all of mankind from death and hell and Satan, capital S. And I think we do this today too. Everybody wants to make God in their own image. I hear a lot about this teddy bear Jesus. I'm not the one who coined that. I'm sure you realize that. That's been said by a lot of people. But people who want to make Jesus out to be this just, he's always so kind and always so loving. And he certainly is that thing. But he's also brings justice and along with the mercy and judgment along with the blessings and so forth. His mission wasn't just all lollipops and rainbows. So I think that's something we all struggle with during life's difficult moments, and sometimes even in their prosperous moments, right? Sometimes when we're experiencing great blessings and prosperity, it's easy to get sidetracked from the things of God and not savor them. It's easy to want to rewrite God into our own image. So this also reminded me of a story D. Todd Christofferson told recently. I don't remember exactly where, and I didn't take the time to Google it. But he was telling a story of him. If it sounds like I'm having trouble catching my breath, I'm not having trouble breathing hard, but I am walking on a treadmill, so it is just a little bit not like normal breathing. So D. Todd Christofferson talked about his personal financial difficulties. So he had a big business reversal. And I'm telling you this from memory, so I might not get every little detail right, but you can go look it up. Look up D. Todd Christofferson spoke about his financial difficulties or something. It wasn't in a conference, so it was somewhere else. It wasn't in a general conference, I should say. And of course, he was praying for, well, he was praying for a miracle, right? And he was kind of expecting, had his expectations, I guess I should say. But he said, and I'm not quoting, I'm just telling you what I remember from this. These difficulties didn't resolve in a big, grand way, a grand, miraculous way. He said that he just received small daily blessings, and he was able to go forward one day, then the next day, and then the next day. And I think this is a really good example of God working in our lives in a way that maybe we aren't expecting. It might not be the way that would be the desires of our heart, because I think we all want sometimes someone just to ride in their white horse and rescue us. Sometimes we want God to do that, but that's not God's purpose, as we know. God's purpose is to create better people who are more like Him through all the circumstances in our life. So let us all put this in the positive, and let us all, where is it? The part that I really like. Let us all savor the things that be of God. So tell me in the comments, if you're watching this, how do you savor the things of God? I would love to hear it. And I will see you tomorrow.